Okay, we are live. Wonderful. So we're going to again talk about totalitarian state. And I've said before that I believe that the most dangerous ideology out there is statism. Uh, when you believe in the big state, when you think that the state is more important than people. Um, and a lot of people now should kind of be real and connect with reality concerning which places, which state, which governments are the most eager to use certain technology to crush opposition. Hi there, Angela and Austin. Good morning or good evening. It's morning here in Norway. Hi there, Bob. Yeah, it's 14 minutes past 6 here. Diablo Blanca, good to see you. Yeah, so I think that the idea is that, well, or at least up until recently, a lot of people, they viewed like the globalists, and I'm not defending globalists at all, but the common theme was that surveillance and like I put in the title, facial recognition technology, that it's something that you would find being done by globalists and like in the USA that would be the Democrats and the liberals but what we're saying now is that it really is a trademark of totalitarianism, and that can be found on the left and the right. It doesn't matter so much. It's more a symptom of statism. And I'm going to give it just a few seconds now while I say hello to more people. Hi there, Karula. And Daniel. Lots of people are joining. That is wonderful. New avatar. Wonderful. Thank you for joining stealth mode. So, Hungary. I've actually been to Hungary. I was at a literature festival in Romania, the Hungarian part of Romania, and my plane landed in Hungary, and so we drove through Hungary and then crossed the border into Romania. That was last year, and so I can say that I've been to Hungary, but that's all. That's all. So, but it's Hungary is has a conservative government, and one of their things is that they are striking down on the Pride celebration. Now, I will say that the Pride celebration has gotten out of hand. I don't like it at all. It's sexualized and disgusting. So, just my honest opinion there. But it's that I think that people should. I think people should be allowed to do what they like, but there should be some rules and regulations concerning nudity in public places. It's common sense, I think. But if you want to have a parade celebrating being gay, I think that's okay. I think people should be allowed to do that. I don't care. Why would I care? It doesn't affect me, you know. But in Hungary now, they don't want that, and apparently, and they are getting very close to the Pride celebration, and they are going to put up a lot of cameras in the streets, and they will be using facial recognition technology to monitor the people there. That's what this live stream is about, not pride or gayness or anything like that. Stealth mode, welcome as a member to the channel. Wonderful. Yeah, so they're going to use facial recognition technology so that they can, well, it's obvious why they're doing that, of course. They are doing it because they know that when they use that technology, then a lot of people will not come because they don't want they don't want their identity to be in some kind of register about, I don't know, gay people or whatever. Barnabas there says control. Yes, it is about control. Of course it is. The pride thing has nothing to do with this. It's about control. Control. The same was done in where was it now? I can't remember where. In on the British Islands, I believe, during a rugby match, an important rugby match. I've been watching Six Nations. It's on Netflix, I think, about rugby, and they didn't say so in that TV show, I think, but I know that they used facial recognition technology so that everyone who entered the arena or the stadium, they were scanned and their identity was registered. Now you could say, that is easier to defend because I don't know if they've had the problems with hooligans and such things. I don't know. But the whole point here is that this facial recognition technology is here, and governments are using it, and they are using it to keep track of people, and also to what's the word? To discourage people. I believe that this technology is being used on a daily basis in the public space, but they will tell you that it's there when they don't want people to come or when they don't want people to misbehave, So this is not a good thing. Now, I've said many times that, the best thing would be if we did not have a smartphone, any of us, because your smartphone is registering your face, and it's got your position and your well, everything. It knows everything about you, and that's being sent to companies and third-party companies, which means that when you download an app, it will send that information. It registers to other companies. That's how they make money. And Subdue Light there says that it will be tied into your social credit score, to your digital ID. Yes, absolutely. So this is what's happening now, and And I'm sorry, I have to make a little joke here. When it comes to the Pride Parade, someone here wrote, "Wear a mask." Now, I've never, I have obviously never been to a Pride Parade, but I've seen on the news, uh, I've seen on the news that some of those people are wearing masks. So, yeah, well, moving on. Um, Now, of course, you can have phones without that technology. There's something called the light phone, and you can have old-fashioned phones as well. Um, but anyway, so it won't help now that you have. Well, it will help, but it's like when you move out into an urban. If you move through an urban area, it's only a matter of time before your face is scanned and your position is known by the government. Um, so that's a problem. That's a problem also in the sense that uh, even if you don't have a smartphone, obviously you're still being registered. Your position is registered, and that's a problem. I'm seeing this. I predict that this will be implemented by the Trump administration, like everywhere in the USA. Because, and I know a lot of people don't like when I say this, but it's looking more and more like a totalitarian government. Um, and they will do everything because they don't have ethics or morals. They will do everything to crush opposition. Uh, so obviously you have China, which is a horrible state where people do not have freedom. They do not have freedom of speech, and New World Order says just implemented it yesterday. Is that in the USA? Please let us know. So China has had this technology for a long time. They have the social credit score. They have facial scanning whenever you enter, I think, the subway and things like that. And we can look to China to see where this is moving. It's a system of complete control of the population, and they do not have freedom. They do not have freedom. Well, they have freedom to do exactly what they want, and they can, as long as it doesn't go against anything that the government doesn't want them to do, and they can say exactly what they want, as long as they don't say anything that the government does not want you to say. you know okay. New World Order, they implemented it in the US yesterday, recently. Wow. That's absolutely no good at all. That's horrible. Now, it's an old prepper trick to wear a baseball cap with a long the pot in front, and sunglasses. It also helps to have a beard. So if you have that cap on and sunglasses and a big beard, it's going to be difficult to recognize you, as I have been told. So that's not an option for the women, of course, with a beard. But yeah. Now, I think that they will, of course, say that this is for safety reasons, and well, there are maybe it is in some cases. Yeah, of course, you can. I guess if there are cameras everywhere, then criminals will be easy to identify, um, so that the drug dealer can be easily caught and then let out on the street again, you know? Um, and I, but I think that this is not a good development, and it should be. I don't see people rising up against this, and they should. They should. I I mentioned that rugby match, you know, and I know it will never happen, but what if people said that, "Oh, you have those surveillance cameras? Well, then I will not go." If everyone said that, there would be no surveillance cameras there. Um, if your government puts up or allows surveillance cameras and facial recognition technology being applied, let them know that you will not give them your vote the next time. Now, of course, let's use Hungary as an example. Do you think that if the Viktor Orban government is not voted in next time, do you think that, and there's like a leftist government there next time, do you think that they will remove those cameras? Of course they won't. Um, so, so what do we do about this? I don't have any solution to this. The only thing I can say is that, well, you can wear a baseball cap and sunglasses, and well, Carola is mentioning the Muslim women with they cover up things, their face a lot. Not their face. I don't think that's legal. I think there are some laws against that in at least in Norway. Might be wrong, but I don't see that here. But anyway, that those laws and regulations will be different in other countries, I guess. Some people are mentioning face tattoos. Well, it's it's a little bit. Sounds a little bit dramatic, doesn't it? Sunglasses you can remove. So yeah. I don't know how that works. I don't know how the technology works. I might be sitting here saying that a beard and sunglasses will not be the cameras won't recognize you then. I don't know if that's true. I don't know the technology. Yeah, I think the rate of people who regret tattoos in their face is quite high. So I imagine that's something that, well, should not be recommended. Yeah, but basically, you can't hide your face all the time when you go out in the urban space. So basically, on this one, they got us. And It's going to be used. I think we lived through the COVID crisis, and I call it crisis for a reason. And we saw what our governments are willing to do, and they kind of put all their cards on the table there, so that we know that they do not care about people's freedom. That's a luxury. That's something that we can that they will. I mean, freedom, and this goes for the USA as well. Your freedom is a luxury, and that's how the government sees it. It's something that they will take away when they feel that it needs to be taken away. Guns won't matter. Uh, your religious freedom won't matter. Nothing will matter. It will just be done. Your freedom will be taken away. And people will accept it because the alternative is that you have to fight. And you can't rely on anyone. You will have to fight on your own against the whole government, the police, the army, and and most people will not do that. So, yeah, this got a little bit dark, a little bit depressing, and I have to say this because this is on YouTube. I am not in any way saying that, well, you should fight the government. You should do. I'm not saying that you should do anything violent or illegal. That's not what I'm saying. So I want to make that very clear. That's not what I'm saying here. When so okay. Now, this should be, I believe, a lesson in, well, I said it already, totalitarianism. And you will find that on the left, you will find it on the right. It doesn't matter so much where you are on the political scale. It's the level of statism that matters here. And if you have a high level of statism, or big state, the state decides a lot. On one end, you have, of course, big state type of systems, which would be fascism and communism. They are both very similar in that way. And then at the other end of the scale, you have anarchy, where there is no state. And while anarchy, I'm theoretically an anarchist, but in that way, I'm saying it like that because it would never work, But it's the only moral way of governing a society, that you don't govern it. But it would never work. It would be what most people think that anarchy would be, like people killing each other, But anyway, at the other end of the scale, you have communism and fascism, and that's a total, complete control type of state. And we are moving towards that. Technology is also making it very easy for these people, like Viktor Orban and the government in the UK, and now we're hearing also the USA, and there are many, many other examples. Well, China, I mentioned China, of course. The technology is making it easy for them to move us towards that complete control type of state. So, yeah, I agree, Karura, I agree. Anarchy is only possible with a few trustworthy friends. Yes, I agree. That's why I'm saying that I'm a theoretical anarchist. I'm not that in practice. Yeah, you know what I mean. So, not a good development. Um, and during COVID, we saw what they are willing to do. They will lock you up in your home if they feel that it needs to be done. Um, and they they're probably going to do it again. I'm guessing within the next 2 years we will have a situation like that. Now I have never experienced what that would be like because it was not like that in Norway during COVID. It was not like that in Sweden during COVID either. Sweden was had even more freedom than Norway. But I know that in most other European countries, in the USA, most states there, Canada, of course, and well, most of the world, most of the maybe not Africa, I don't know, but it was cruel because they locked people up basically in their homes. Um, so I can only try to imagine how that would be like. I would not I would not accept it. I could not. I no. Um, I would not be able to. I wouldn't. I couldn't do that. I don't think I could do that. Um, so, yeah, the UK during COVID was really bad. The UK is quite a totalitarian state. It really is. It's a culture with a class system, um, and that makes it easier to keep people under the iron heel of the state. Um, and we know concerning the USA and their guns and all of that, we already know that that won't matter at all. People will be obedient because they were obedient during COVID. The guns did not make any difference. Um, and it will be done again. So, and now I'm sitting here and I'm telling you that it wasn't that bad here in Norway. I didn't really notice much of a difference during COVID. But if the government here had wanted to lock people in their homes, I don't know. Maybe people would actually have stayed in their homes. No, guns did not make a fucking difference, TJ. It really didn't. Because if it did, then people would have preserved their freedom, and they clearly did not. Um, and what they said here in Norway, and the government here, they said that we cannot have those strict uh, COVID regulations here in Norway because people here would not, Norwegians will not accept it. That's what they said. The government said that. And that's why they did not uh, implement such rules. Uh, uh, I yeah yeah I think the gun thing is like there is only one thing in the USA that is more important to the identity than not Jesus but God, the Christian God. That's guns. Guns are even more important than God in the USA apparently. And it's a wonderful way to keep people obedient and to keep people thinking that they have a control. It's like that when you have little children and you give them a steering wheel that is attached to the seat in front of them, and it's like that. Oh, you can steer the car now. You're doing so well. You have it works in the same way basically. And if you don't like that, I don't care. But let's get back to the topic here. And the topic is this facial recognition technology. And I am not sure why they need it actually, because everyone has a smartphone. So, and here's what I'm thinking. Okay, do we have moderators? Can we just get rid of the gun? If we get the people get all worked up about guns here, we can just get rid of those comments. But okay. So here's my question. Okay, so almost everyone, has a smartphone, and they are bringing that smartphone to protests. I'm laughing because it's like, that's dumb. Okay. And when you have a smartphone in your pocket, multiple companies out there know your position. They will know that you are in that street, at that street corner, and so on. And they will sell that information to any government, I believe. I do not trust these companies. So why do governments have these cameras everywhere? I'm like, do they need them? Why would they need them? Couldn't they just buy that information from these companies? They could. So here's what I'm thinking. And I don't know the technology in details. I might be wrong here, but I'm thinking that the cameras are there to be a visible reminder that you should not speak up, you should not speak your mind, you should be obedient to the state. And that's why they are also telling you that facial recognition technology will be used at events like the Pride parade, for instance, in Hungary, or that rugby match in was it in the somewhere at the British Islands, because then people will know, the people will be reminded that they are being watched, and that's the whole point. That's what I think. Oh, was it Wales? Oh, thank you, Hotep. Yeah. Rugby is a tough sport. That's looks really looks like a tough sport. So yeah. Oh, I think Europeans understand far more than you can imagine, by the way, concerning the situation in the USA, the United States of America, which might not be so united in the future. So, yeah, New Zealand, yes, they are very extreme when it comes to this. That's what I've heard. Yeah. Yeah, I think I think that this is something that we need to ponder about a little bit. And I think this actually goes against human rights. I mean, in the public space, you should be able to move around in the public space without being tracked, without having cameras recognizing your face, and so on. There must be something in that Bill of Human Rights that it is against. Not that governments care about human rights at all. I mean, any state, just to give you one example, any state that has mandatory military conscription breaks the human rights, the Bill of Human Rights. It's not a matter of discussion. It is, yes, Audrey, it is against human rights, and I believe so are these cameras. So, yeah. New World Order. There are some companies and some words I'll try not to say here. I don't know how this works, but I'm starting to think, and I don't know this, but maybe I'm getting paranoid, but I'm starting to think that there are certain names and words that triggers something here, and if I say that, then suddenly the live stream is cut. It's happened so many times now that I don't know. I don't know. Of course, as humans, we have a tendency to look for patterns where there are none, but still, I'm getting. I don't know. I don't know. Blue Eyes is mentioning globalism, and I used to think that this complete state control, this complete, the surveillance thing, that was part of this globalism and this whole project of, with 15-minute cities, with all that. But yes, and it is, and it will be, but it is also quite clearly the states that are big state governments, big government states that are actually against globalism, that are the most eager to implement this. And Hungary is a good example of that. So, yeah. Lone Wolf says Trump is leading America to freedom with a capital F. This is your chance to take it or leave it, but don't cry later. Okay. I think maybe that is something that you do not want to be quoted on in a few years from now. So, yeah. It's just, to me, I'm not in the USA, of course, but to me, it doesn't look that way. It doesn't look that way. The, the, the totalitarian, when it comes to Trump now, I'm really disappointed, because the things they're doing is moving the USA towards a less free place to be. And it's really difficult to argue against that now. But it's really great if you are Christian, you support Trump, you have to support Trump, um, and if you agree with the policies, then there is complete freedom for you. It's awesome. But the thing is that if you're going to talk about freedom, like freedom of expression, for instance, which is the most important freedom, some will say the freedom to carry arms, but okay, we'll leave that. That is tested when you say something going against the government, something that is not popular. Jake, I think Trump has no fucking clue of Viking culture or Viking history. I'm sorry, but yeah. So if you go to the USA, for instance, and you have been, let's say you have a X, or formerly Twitter, account where you have been criticizing the policies of Trump for a long time, you could be arrested for that. And some people would say that we're not dealing with a free country anymore when it's like that. It's kind of the test of freedom. You can have a million guns, but if you can't criticize the government and the president, you do not have freedom. If you can't say that Trump is a horrible person, he's doing a horrible job, and he should not be president. If you can't say that, if you can't write that in social media, you do not have freedom. If there are consequences, negative consequences for you, if you say that, if you write that, you do not have freedom. This should be easy to understand. And if you can't understand that, you do not understand what freedom is. And this is kind of the level that you need to be at if you want to be part of this community. This should be really, really easy to understand. Okay? If you go to China and you criticize the government, you call them, you call the Chi, the little guy who looks like Winnie the Pooh. If you go on there and you criticize the government, you say that he's a dictator, you will get into trouble because they do not have the freedom to do that there. Earth Lab use cases focus on the freedom of expression in Europe. The USA is not our business. You know what? I'll focus on whatever country I want to focus on. And the USA is our business because they have their tentacles everywhere. And you can read more into that if you want to. There's a hidden meaning in that statement. Yeah. It's always stressful. It's taxing actually to talk about this. Um, but you know, that's where we are. Uh, so yeah, I'm going to end this live stream very soon. But I'll just say this. It's like what I just said here is, and I'm seeing this already. I'm seeing it already, and I'm getting messages from people. Okay. Um, No, Kingdoms of Kobolds, Tentacles. It was a naughty one there. Yeah, I really can't say where that image, what that image is meant to. I can't finish that sentence here on YouTube. But now, uh, this is a thing where what I've just said, it's not popular now, but it's important to say it. Some people can't. A lot of people can't. They will get in trouble already. Already, we are at the point where people can get in trouble for saying that. And in a sad way, time works in our favor here. Do I think that people who got very irritated and angry, like Earth Lab USK, he has this idea that the restriction of freedom for you will come from the EU, not from Trump. Okay. Yeah. No. And Norway is not part of the EU. This is some okay. So it's only a matter of time before people wake up, and it's moving very swiftly in a certain direction. And the support there will be only among the die-hard MAGA people. There won't be anyone else supporting what's happening. And it's like, I wish people could wake up a little bit. This is not moving in the right direction. And you know what? I don't even think it's so much about Trump. I think it's about the people around him, the people behind him. And I think this is as obvious as certain things during COVID that I said back then. It's a very, very obvious thing. And I don't care if there are people listening to this who don't like what I'm saying. I don't fucking care what you think, because people need to wake the fuck up. And if you can't see that, and if you think that 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 I see this all the time. Okay. Oh, people are writing, oh, Europeans are weak and soft, and like, what the fuck? You can't even place the countries in Europe on a map. You know, have you been to Poland? Have you been to? I mean, it's just sad. You know, it's just sad, and the level of fake news about Europe and especially Norway is off the scales. You know, like, oh, you can be arrested for misgendering here in Norway. No, you can't. No, that's not a criminal offense. It really is not. But okay. But okay. Is Norway no is there a problem in certain countries in Europe concerning democracy? Yes, absolutely. Romania is a good example of that. Now, I've been to Romania, as I already mentioned. Okay, and what the people there said is that it's highly corrupt, and because it is so corrupt, you don't really get development. People don't trust the government. They don't trust the election process. And that's probably why it was mentioned here. They voted for this guy who's like a conservative family values guy, pro Russia, because he was in opposition to all of that, and he was popular on TikTok. You know, do I think that he should have been not? Well, they canceled the result. Of course they did. Of course they did. New World Order. What about online posts? You can write what the fuck you want. Okay. Online here. No, no, not you can't. Here's the thing that if you bully people, like consistently bully people, you can get in trouble for that. But it has nothing to. Here's the thing, and like Fox News, they're like I have no. I like the words to describe them, but the case that you are referring to is one case. No, there are actually two cases, but those two people got in trouble with the law here because of bullying, online bullying. It had nothing to do with misgendering. It could have been about anything. And you can get in trouble if you bully people online. But you can, if I want to call, and I have done many times, if I want to call out someone, I've always said that there is no non-binary people. Non-binary people is not a thing. You can't be non-binary. You can write that. You won't get in trouble, and I have done many times. You will not get in trouble for that. You won't. So, but it doesn't matter what I say because people will believe what fits with their feelings. New World Order. What about comments about government? The government here is systematically criticized by the people. Even bodily features. Now, we have one politician who's the Conservative Party leader. She's overweight. You can call her fat. You can write in social media that she is fat and stupid if you like. You won't get in. I don't think you should do that, but you can do that. I don't think she's a good person. And I've called her, I've said on one of the biggest podcasts in an interview here in Norway, twice I've said that she should be arrested because she was the prime minister during COVID, and the decisions that she approved, I believe, should be cause for her to be arrested and put before a court and sentenced. Hopefully, you can say that here. Now, my question is the following: you think that, or you think that you can say that about Trump in the USA now? You think that you can keep saying that for long? You think you can say that in a year from now? Please consider that a little bit. Because that's the test. That's the test. Yeah, I think you can still say that in the USA about Trump, but I'm not sure if you will be able to say that in 1 year, 2 year, 2 years, 3 years from now. And I hope I'm wrong. But anyway. Yes, anti-Semitism. Yeah, Trump, half his family is Jewish, I think. He's very much on board with all of that. Yeah. Okay. I'll this live stream got a little bit started out dark, continued like that. Hopefully next one will be a little bit nicer. Yeah. Okay. I'll get back to you very soon. Hope you have a wonderful evening and or a morning if you're in these parts of the world. Okay. Wonderful. Bye bye.